you will spend about 30 years of your life completely unconscious. To many, snoring and dreaming away a full third of their existence feels like a massive waste of productive time. It's tempting to imagine a life where you captured all 24 hours of the day, refusing to go to bed and finding a way to do everything you never had time for. This desire overlooks a fundamental biological reality. While you are still, your brain is performing a heavy-duty, mandatory maintenance cycle. This diagram shows the brain during its nightly tune-up. It physically removes toxic chemical byproducts created by daytime activity and repairs the neural pathways you need to think, remember, and focus. Denying this process triggers a biological self-destruct sequence. Without its nightly maintenance, the body and mind slowly begin to dismantle themselves. Day 1 feels deceptively normal. Most people can cruise on energy reserves from the previous night, keeping their mood and appetite stable for the first 24 hours. Past 24 hours, the mesolimbic pathway reacts to wakefulness by flooding your system with a dopamine rush and spiking cortisol. Beneath this high, glucose metabolism is failing, energy reserves deplete, and your reaction times are slowing down significantly. Without sleep to codify your experiences, the brain also stops the formation of new memories, effectively losing any information you gather while awake. Historical military records show the results of forcing this state. During World War II, German soldiers used stimulants to push past 36 hours of wakefulness to maintain the speed of their initial attacks. That early euphoria is a physiological warning. The body is burning emergency energy reserves at a rate it cannot sustain. By 72 hours, the initial dopamine surge disappears. The toxic byproducts that the brain usually clears at night have reached a critical, damaging mass. You enter a state called anhedonia. Natural opioids and endorphins crash, leaving you entirely unable to feel pleasure in any activity. Starved of REM sleep, the brain begins projecting dreams into the waking world. Shadows move unnaturally, and simple sounds turn into vivid audio hallucinations. To fight back, the brain begins forcing micronaps. These are involuntary shutdowns lasting for seconds, without the subject even realizing they've lost consciousness. These naps often strike during low-attention tasks like walking or driving. At this stage, a person is just as cognitively impaired as a drunk driver. The individual is no longer in control. The brain is actively seizing the rest it is being denied. By day 4, the crisis turns physical. Appetite-regulating hormones spiral, creating intense cravings for energy that the stomach is too exhausted to digest. Digestive collapse follows. Nausea becomes constant, and the body eventually loses basic sphincter control. Depleted of energy, the body enters a triage state. It begins cannibalizing its own protein and muscle mass just to keep the internal systems running. This physical decay was famously documented during Randy Gardner's 1964 science fair project, where he stayed awake for 11 straight days. Sleep researchers from Stanford University monitored Gardner's decline throughout the 11-day experiment. By the end, Gardner was experiencing extreme paranoia and mood swings. He lost all coherence, eventually speaking only in gibberish. This loss of coherence proves why prolonged sleep deprivation is a failure for intelligence agencies. The data extracted from a disassociated mind is typically nonsensical. A week without sleep destroys the mind's connection to reality, leaving behind a broken husk of a person. Pushing into a second or third week crosses a point of no return, where permanent biological damage becomes likely. The immune system is now so weakened that illnesses normally considered harmless can become life-threatening. While Gardner survived 11 days, researchers estimate the absolute physiological limit arrives near the 21-day mark. By this point, the heart is struggling with compounding stress and muscle wasting without any cellular repair, a combination that typically leads to a fatal heart attack. Human consciousness carries a non-negotiable physiological price. It cannot be cheated through stimulants or sheer willpower. Chronic undersleeping actively dismantles your biology. To sustain a productive waking life, the body requires 6 to 8 hours of total darkness every night.